Hi, in this video I'll show you how you can use Figaf IRT to test together with an existing testing component, for instance HPE UFT for this. So the reasons why you want to do it is if you have your UFT scripts or whatever testing application you have, but you also want to test the actual PI messages being created and what they really look like. So the scenario that we have here, for instance, is we would have a ERP system that is then creating sales orders of 5, whatever. Then we will send it to the PI system and it will be received by some third-party system. We will add our modules into the beginning and end of this processing. And that means that we will be able to pick up the message that the SAP system has sent and pick up the message just before it reaches the receiver. So the way you would run this when you're running it is you'd log on to the IRT system, start say I have this set of test cases, I wanna run this and expect that I'm getting the same messages. And this will give you a test case ID. Then you'd send a message to your UFT system saying, hey, or you'd start your system and say, hey, create the sales orders that you want to create. It will create it, send messages to the PI system that will be received by the receiver. And then you'll call the IRT component again saying, hey, I got this test case ID. Do you have any messages? And it can give you a success, an error, or it can say this was the difference that we got. So we've created an HPE UFT component that you can use. And this will also serve as an example about how you can actually integrate other components into this. And obviously you can suit the script, change the script so it suits your needs. And there's a configuration file that is using to access the IRT component, login information and stuff like that. So how do you actually get around creating these things and building or modifying your script so they will also account for the PI, and how easy is this actually? So the way you do it is you would go to the IRT component, start a new recording, then you would run your script, and then you can create a test case with these things, and you can do some of the modifications if you want to ignore certain parameters and stuff like that. It's quite easily created. Here I have ignored all of these, so it should not give any problems when we're running it. So I'll go to my UFT system. So here I have my long script with a lot of code in that I want to run. So I will log on to my IRT system. Not this one. So here I have my IRT system, and I know that the object that we are testing on is this one. So I'll select it. I will create a new test case, and we'll add it to the UFT demo I have created here, and this will be demo creation. This is just a way for me to know what was actually the file or the test cases that created. So I'll say create here. Okay, it will show me this one, and I can then start recording. So I say I'm expecting 3 messages, and then we can go to our UFT script. We'll then run it, and this will then start running, send the messages in. And obviously if you're creating normal iDocs and stuff like that, you will probably get it in different ways. So now we have run it, and it has given some result. And we can then look at here, we can see we got some received 2 inbound and 4 outbound. And this is a synchronous example, so this is okay. So we've received one inbound, which is the first message delivered. The second outbound is the message delivered to the receiving system, and the third one is then the message that's being sent back to the original system. That makes, for each message we'll get 2 outputs, so that's good. And we'll say we'll create a new test case for this, and this needs to be baseline test case because that is this type of test, and we just have 2 messages, so this is fine. So we'll create here, and now we can see we got this new test here that's called demo test cases. So we can go in here and we can then just copy this one. So this is our unique ID for this. Then we will go back. So now we have created a test case, and then we need to go into our test tool and add this as the expected output. So let me go to the ET component like this, and so the first thing we want to do is so we want to have a variable test run ID as a string. Then we will insert a new add a call to an existing test application, and here we will find the one that's called run test case, and this has a parameter here, and an output parameter. So this one we got from this value, so this is a hard-coded value, and then we will say the output parameter is this one. So now when we run the script, it will start the recording, send our messages in, and then we want to put in the weight for this. So we will add call to an existing component, get status, and this will be the run ID, and this is obviously a variable, and that's actually it. We will save it, and then we will run this script. So and then we can see while it's running, it's sending a lot of messages, getting some response back for these things. So this seems to be going okay. I'll just pause the recording and then get back once we're done with this. So now we can see it has run successfully, and we can see we get the status, and it has a few retries here for it before it reaches a message that it can use for processing. So the only thing worth back to show is what it looks like if it's wrong. So here we have 2 test cases, one that works and one that does not work, and then in the one that does not work you will get an result that is failed, and then you'd log into the ERT system using the test run ID, and you'd be able to see what was the specific error that was wrong. So configuration of this is done in this input format, and if you open this XML, then there'll be a so the XML that you get from this looks something like this. You would specify the ERT address, log in for the ERT component with the password, and then we got query parameters, how many times should we retry, and how many seconds should we wait between each time we are retrying the messages. So this is the setup that you want to add, and maybe you want to place it in a different location or embed it as a normal configuration. So now we have seen how to set up the test, get the test data back, and we can see the output compared, and we can fairly simple ignore element. So some of the expectations as messages is sent in the same order, or that there's an XPath that we can identify the same messages. So we'd be able to see we have seen this message before or not. No other. So if you have orders of 5 IDOC, then you are not sending the same orders of 5 IDOC from other systems at the same point in time. Otherwise, we'll have difficulty figuring out which messages are sent for the right scenario. And then this is only on PI, ICO, Java only scenarios that it works. And obviously it works for synchronous and asynchronous scenarios. So what it is that we're testing. So we are testing the messages with earlier versions, compare that to the baseline. And the full document will be compared, and then we'll be able to see what are the small differences between the document, and see what is compared. So we'll get inbound, outbound documents, and we'll give you a response whether or not this was success or failure. And a failure could also be that the test was not able to process for some reason, that someone had taken the messages or something else had occurred. So that was what I wanted to share with you in this presentation. I hope this has been useful, and you can see how the IRT component can be used to leverage these things. Thanks.